Catechetical teaching methodology. Catechetical instruction must have been coeval with the human family. At first, all knowledge was communicated orally and handed down by tradition. The first man delivered a stock of important ideas to his children, and they gained to theirs, with different degrees of ability and fidelity. The most usual place of instruction was doubtless, for a long time, a domestic circle. Here, the pious patriarch would spend much time in dealing out to his listening children the lesson which he had learned in his youth from his predecessors, and those which he had been taught on his own experience. Jesus as a teacher. He never taught a lesson in the classroom. He had no tools to work with, such as blackboards, maps, and charts. He used no subject outlines, kept no records, gave no grades, and his only text was ancient and well worn. His students were poor, the lame, the deaf, the blind, the outcasts. His method was the same with all who came to hear and learn. He opened eyes with faith, he opened ears with simple truth, and opened hearts with love. A love born of forgiveness, a gentle man, a humble man. He asked and won no honors, no gold awards of tribute of his expertise or wisdom. And yet, this quiet teacher from the hills of Galilee has fed the needs, fulfilled the hopes, and changed the lives of many millions. For what he taught heaven to earth and revealed God's heart to humankind. According to National Directory Catechesis, catechists must be attentive to adapt their method of catechesis to the needs of particular groups they serve. Lord Jesus taught a diverse kind of people. As an educator, we will also encounter diverse students. Here are some ways in adapting to learning styles, special needs, and diversity. First is the multiple intelligences. Intelligence is often defined by performance in an examination or grades at school. But as an educator, we must understand that it goes beyond that. Although having useful knowledge and skills does contribute to the person's intelligence, psychologist Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences suggests that there's more than to being intelligent than simply being good at maths and English or learning as a second language. At our schools, we deliver a curriculum where children can develop these 9 types of intelligence and learn their strengths and weaknesses, helping them understand their place in the world and decide which career they would like to pursue. We will discuss the 9 types of intelligence listed in Gardner's research in more detail, and list the characteristics of each to help people understand which of the 9 types of intelligence they possess. Perhaps the most obvious of the 9 kinds of intelligence, logical mathematical intelligence, refers to someone's ability to solve mathematical problems, spot trends and patterns, and understand relationships. If someone possesses logical mathematical intelligence, it means that order and sequencing feature greatly in their thinking process, and they think conceptually and abstractly. You have high logical mathematical intelligence if you're good with numbers and confident taking on tasks that involve quantifying things, such as math and arithmetic questions. You enjoy performing experiments and conducting your own investigations. You enjoy playing logic and strategy games. You enjoy solving puzzles and unraveling mysteries, and your curiosity drives you to ask cosmic or deep questions. Great careers for people with logical mathematical intelligence include mathematician, economist, auditor, accountant, scientist, tactician, computer, analyst, and technician. Next is the linguistic intelligence. Linguistic intelligence gauges someone's ability to use words effectively. This doesn't necessarily mean learning another language. Someone who exclusively uses one language proficiently can still have linguistic intelligence. Being able to use the right words and express what you mean is a unique skill that can be utilized in several different scenarios. You have high linguistic intelligence if you're comfortable both speaking and writing, using words to achieve objectives such as persuasion. You have a broad vocabulary and understanding when and how to use certain words. You enjoy reading and writing. You enjoy playing with words, and you have an easy grasp of other languages or dialects. Fluency is not required. Great careers for people with linguistic intelligence include public speaker, librarian, politician, radio announcer, TV host, YouTuber, journalist, lawyer, curator, speech pathologist, writer, or sales. The third one is the interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence or emotional intelligence refers to the link between intelligence and emotions. Someone with interpersonal intelligence is good at sensing other people's emotions and reading their motives. This can be linked to both verbal and nonverbal communication skills. You have high interpersonal intelligence if you are good at identifying distinctions and differences among a group of people. You have a wide circle of friends and are comfortable meeting new people. You are good at sensing people's mood and possess the ability to look at things from different perspectives, understanding other people's point of view. Great careers for people with interpersonal intelligence include human resources, counselor, management, psychologist, public relations, social director, teacher, or social worker. The next one is the intrapersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence refers to self-awareness and people's ability to understand themselves. Do you understand what you are feeling and why you are feeling it? Interpersonal intelligence also involves appreciating and respecting the human condition. In general, treating others the way you would like to be treated yourself. You have high interpersonal intelligence if you're self-motivated and can put yourself first when necessary. You're strong-willed and independent. You're aware of and take actions based on how you're feeling. You enjoy taking time to yourself for self-reflection. Great careers for people with interpersonal intelligence include psychologists, writer, therapist, counselor, social worker, theologian, entrepreneur, or poet. Next is the musical intelligence. Musical intelligence is the most self-explanatory of the 9 types of intelligence. It refers to someone's ability to sense rhythm and sound and use this to create music. You have a high level of musical intelligence if you can break the pitch, rhythm, tone, and timbre of sounds easily. You recognize, create, or reflect on music and love doing so. You are comfortable with music playing in the background while you do other things. You are highly sensitive to sounds, hearing what others miss. Great careers for people with musical intelligence include conductor, musician, piano teacher, composer, dance teacher, music therapist, or choral director. Next is the visual spatial intelligence. Visual spatial intelligence refers to people's ability to view or visualize the world in its three dimensions. While discussing visualizing the world in 3D, it involves the following capabilities. Mental imagery. Being able to draw up an image or picture without an external stimulus, drawing from memories or previous experience. In other words, the detail of someone's imagination. Spatial reasoning. Being able to think about objects in 3D and draw generalizations despite having limited information. Mention a pyramid and the people with visual spatial intelligence will be able to visualize how the pyramid will look from the front or the top. Image manipulation. Being able to visualize changes to an image before they have been implemented. For example, an artist visualizing how their picture will look before they have drawn it. And the last one for the visual spatial intelligence is the artistic skills. This is being able to create artwork. This also includes graphic skills. Visual spatial intelligence and creativity work hand in hand, drawing on an active imagination to produce impressive visual work. You have high visual spatial intelligence if you have high awareness of your surrounding environment. You have a good sense of direction. You enjoy playing jigsaw puzzles and games based around your navigation. You daydream a lot and you enjoy being creative. Great careers for people with visual spatial intelligence include architect, geometry teacher, engineer, surveyor, urban planner, graphic artist, interior decorator, photographer, pilot, and cartographer. Next on the list is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence refers to mind and body coordination. It is very important to athletes. Athletic ability isn't often referred to as intelligence, but kinesthetic intelligence is measured on someone's ability to use their physicality to manipulate objects and other elements around them. You have high bodily kinesthetic intelligence if you recognize your capabilities and physical limits. You can communicate well using body language. using gestures and actions to convey your best limit. You have no real issue with physical contact. You have a good sense of timing when it comes to physical tasks and activities. You can handle objects with a high degree of deftness, control, and economy of movement, and you like being creative with your hand. Careers for people with bodily kinesthetic intelligence include physical therapist, dancer, athlete, coach, fitness instructor, gym owner, actor, mechanic, or carpenter. The eighth one is the naturalist intelligence. Naturalist intelligence refers to the ability to read and understand nature. Having sensitivity to the non-living elements of all living things is considered nature smart. You have high naturalist intelligence if you love nature and spending time outdoors. You connect easily with animals and you're good at raising or taking care of animals and plants. Great careers for people with naturalist intelligence include botanist, oceanographer, camp counselor, scout troop leader, gardener, astronomer, meteorologist, geologist, or landscape architect. The last for Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence is the existential intelligence. Existential intelligence refers to deep sensitivity of people's ability to handle deep questions, such as the meaning of existence. It's one of the most complex of the 9 types of intelligence listed in Gardner's research. People with existential intelligence are not only comfortable talking about these serious questions but also strive to find the answer. You have high existential intelligence if you genuinely want to find answers to questions such as what is the meaning of life or what happens after death. You demonstrate high sensitivity on matters related to human existence. Great careers for people with existential intelligence include inspirational speaker, writer, clergy, author, philosopher, economist, or blogger. Aside from learners' multiple intelligence, educators also need to pay attention to special needs of some students in using appropriate learning styles. Learners who need special care may vary based on their cases. We just take some for today's discussion. First are those who are visually impaired. The impact of impairment on learning will vary significantly according to the nature and extent of vision loss. Some students will have been born without vision. Others will have lost it gradually. Some will have no vision at all. Others will have some vision, be less sensitive, or have limited peripheral vision. It is also possible that the vision and light sensitivity will fluctuate day to day. Your teaching style will be needed to be verbal. Think about how to communicate information to students who cannot see what are you doing. Verbalize what is written on Blackboard and on PowerPoints. Talk through any calculations as they were made or procedures as they are carried out. Read any printed information and describe any charts or graph being used. Inform the students if you plan to use videos, slides, or PowerPoints, and discuss alternatively ways in presenting the necessary information. Because students with vision impairment are generally slower than other students in completing reading tasks, reading is slower and considerably time is involved in getting material tapped or brailled. Provide reading lists well before the start of a course so that the reading can begin early. Consider tailoring reading lists and provide guidance to key texts. Next case is speech and language impairment. Speech and language disorders can affect the way children talk, understand, analyze, or process information. Speech disorders include the clarity, voice quality, and fluency of a child's spoken words. Language disorders include the child's ability to hold meaningful conversations, understand others, solve problems, read and comprehend, and express thoughts through spoken or written words. Communication skills are at the heart of life's experience, particularly for children who are developing language critical to cognitive development and learning. Reading, writing, gesturing, listening, and speaking are all forms of language, a code we can learn to use in order to communicate ideas. Learning takes place through the process of communication. The ability to participate in active and interactive communication with peers and adults in the educational setting is essential for the students to succeed in school. Strategies that the teacher can employ to the students with speech and language impairment are focused on interactive communication, use active listening, incorporate the student's interest into speech, ensure that the student has a way to appropriately express their wants and needs, reinforce communication attempts like their gestures or partial verbalizations when a student is nonverbal or emerging verbal. Speak directly to the student. Be a good speech model. Provide assistance and provide positive reinforcement when the students show the ability to something unaided. Use a peer body system when appropriate and devise alternate procedures for an activity with the student. The last case that we're going to discuss for this discussion is the giftedness. Children are gifted when their ability is significantly above the norm for their age. Giftedness may manifest in one or more domains such as intellectual, creative, artistic, leadership, or in specific academic fields such as language, art, mathematics, or science. There are the challenges and opportunities to the school level. With the following strategies, teachers can tend to the complex needs of their high ability students in the heterogeneous classroom. First is offer the most difficult first. Most difficult first is one manageable way for teachers to compact the curriculum for their high ability students. With compacting, students get to throw away the part of curriculum that they already know, while receiving full credit for those competencies. This frees up students to work on more challenging content. Next is pretest for volunteers. Let's say a teacher is teaching two-digit multiplication. He might do some direct instruction for 10 minutes, then offer students the end of chapter test, saying if you get 90% or higher, you won't have to do the homework or practice work. You'll have different work to do. According to Bros, some gifted students will take this option, whereas others may decide, I don't know this. I need to practice work. Again, as in most difficult first, this strategy requires having extension work for students who test out of the material. Speak to the students' interests. Students can also tailor a project to their interests. In module on architecture, some students designed a playground for Egyptian students using Legos, build one Chrome or Minecraft. One student opted instead to recreate the White House using Minecraft. According to education expert Jenny Grant Rankin, knowing a student's emotional intensities, what Polish psychologist Rezimir Dabrowski called overexcitabilities, is also key to teaching gifted students. Dabrowski identified 5 areas of sensitivity that are strongly related to giftedness: the psychomotor, sensual, intellectual, imaginational, and emotional. Overexcitabilities will often appear as quirks, such as compulsive talking or organizing, heightened sensitivity to smells or taste, insatiable curiosity or daydreaming. Knowing a student's overexcitabilities can help teachers shape engaging and personalized learning experiences. An imaginational student will benefit from an assignment that he is free to complete in a unique way. An intellectual student will prefer to investigate why certain areas of the world struggle with starvation rather than simply listing those areas. Although we tend to see overexcitabilities negatively, they are often accompanied by great creativity, imagination, and drive. The last strategy for the giftedness students is enable gifted students to work together. According to NAGC, research shows that enabling gifted students to work together in groups boosts their academic achievement and benefits other students in the classroom as well. When gifted students work together, they challenge themselves in unexpected ways. They bounce ideas off one another and take a peer's idea to a new place. They also learn that as smart as they are, they too must exert effort with challenging content, and that they'll sometimes fail along the way. In general, there are some teaching tips and strategies for the students who have special needs. First is support your students in their learning. By using strategies of scaffolding, appropriate prompting, and materials suited to your students' level of achievement, you can ensure that they will both learn and succeed. Structure lesson plans to support inclusivity. Rather than creating separate activities or learning plans for students with disabilities, consider how you can include disability services in the general plan and where you might be able to educate all learners about disabilities through the voices of those who experience them. Communicate clearly with students and parents at the start of the term and at the start of each week if necessary. Clearly let your students know what your expectations are in terms of assignments and deadlines. Share this information with parents so they can support their children in being successful. Partner students with disabilities with students who do not have disabilities. Peer mentoring is a wonderful resource for teaching social skills, problem solving, and independence. It allows both students with disabilities and those without to appreciate each other for their strengths and to learn from each other's experiences. Model behaviors you want to see in your students. If you want our students to act a certain way, one of the easiest ways is to show them the behavior in ourselves. It goes for reading a book, interacting socially, or simply treating others with respect. Lastly, allow all students to work on the same assignment. Students who feel they are receiving assignments different from those their peers assume that teachers do not think they are capable of succeeding. Rather than setting different projects, assign the same ones but allow the students with disabilities to work towards the goal in different ways. Use accommodations to help them feel like they are part of the class rather than separate. The thing that we need to consider is the cultural inclusivity. Cultural diversity is commonly interpreted in relation to ethnicity. However, the term should be understood within the broader context where it recognizes the unique attributes of all persons. Culturally inclusive environment requires mutual respect, effective relationship, clear communication, explicit understanding about expectation, and critical self-reflection. In an inclusive environment, people of all cultural orientation can freely express who they are, their own opinions, and points of view. Fully participate in teaching, learning, work, and social activities, and feel safe from abuse, harassment, or unfair criticism. Culturally inclusive university means that individual students can participate fully in classes, aim to study better, aim to achieve better academic results, experience less stress, and have enhanced career prospects. All staff can interact more fully with other staff and students, and can extend and develop their own cultural awareness. The university as an organization benefits from culturally diverse staff and students through exposure to alternate perspectives and experiences. To establish an environment where diversity is genuinely valued, equity needs to be embedded into the core business of each working area within the university. Policies that dictate what we should or should not do often described as lip service, meaning they exist to satisfy a legal requirement but are often not put into practice. Implementing such policies requires a shift in emphasis from the concept of equity being an add on policy to being an active and positive valuing of diversity in all that we do. A good catechist is able to identify weaknesses but emphasize strength, feel learners' fear but fortify their faith, see their anxieties but free their spirits, and recognize special needs but promote possibilities. Classroom management. Classroom management refers to the wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive on tasks, and academically productive during class. When classroom management strategies are executed effectively, teachers minimize the behavior that impede learning for both individual students and groups of students, while maximizing the behavior that facilitate or enhance learning. Generally speaking, effective teachers tend to display strong classroom management skills, while the hallmark of being inexperienced or less effective teacher is a disorderly classroom filled with students who are not working or paying attention. Here are some good effects of having a good classroom management. It is effective discipline, it is being prepared for class, it is motivating your learners, it is providing a safe, comfortable learning environment, it is building your learners' self-esteem, it is being creative and imaginative in daily lessons. According to Saint Angela Merisi, you will accomplish more by kind words and courteous manner than by anger or sharp rebuke, which should never be used except in necessity. Here are some tips for good classroom management. First is understand the role of discipline. The role of discipline is to remove any obstacle from effective learning experiences. Second is identify the improper behavior, like boredom or seeking attention, trying to impress peers, emotional problems like family situations or inner conflict. Third is avoid interrupting your lesson. A good catechist learns to deal with discipline problems without stopping the lesson. Next is keep students involved. Keeping your students busy and on task right from the start, you eliminate a great deal of potential trouble. With your eyes, use name and move around. Make a few rules, explain and enforce them consistently. Next is avoid the following. Never send a child out of the room alone and unsupervised. Avoid being overly tough and be careful not to use God as an enforcer. An effective learning environment. Here are some. First is make clean, neat space, provide a welcoming seating arrangement, provide name tags, create a prayer center, display posters, pictures, and sacred objects, utilize a chalkboard, easel, wipe off, board, and overhead projector, organize a supply station, use technology and straighten up before leaving. A positive classroom environment helps improve attention, reduce anxiety, and support the emotional and behavioral regulation of students. When educators foster a positive learning culture, learners are more likely to acquire higher motivation that leads to wonderful learning outcomes.